It's July 2025, and Scott Moe, our premier, says that Regina is the most affordable city to live in across all of Canada. But I beg to differ. Moose Jaw is still more affordable, and even though we just hit a new all-time high, and no, I'm not talking about the amount of potholes you hit this summer. I'm talking about price growth for homes in our city. Buyers are still lining up and inventory continues to go down. We're running out of inventory in our city. So what is going on? Other markets are shifting. We're hearing ruffles, on the coast that it's switching to a buyer's market. Moose Jaw right now, we're still a strong seller's market. So stick around because at the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know. And we're going to break down the numbers so that whether you're buying, selling, or just waiting to see what Buddy's place is going for down the street, you're going to have the information you need to make a smart and informed decision as you head into this market. Alrighty, so this one came out. Scott Moe, premier, says that Regina is the most affordable place to buy a city in Canada. Of course, I'm sure they're looking at, the big cities. But at the end of the day, we know, and we're going to talk about and look at these numbers, that Moose Jaw is more affordable. It's just as good of a city to live in as far as having your amenities and your good schools and everything else you need. But we don't have a Costco, and there's a couple other things. But Moose Jaw is an awesome city offering much of what Regina does. And we're coming at a much more affordable price. Your money is going to go a lot farther in Moose Jaw. And we're going to talk about why maybe Moose Jaw is the place you actually want to be, especially for you guys working at the mine. You go K+S, Mosaic, Belle Plaine, all you guys right in the middle. You live in Moose Jaw, you get a much nicer place. And the commute is pretty much the same. So a lot of people are taking advantage of that. Our guys that are working out there, our girls that are working out there, really good opportunities in and around Moose Jaw for employment. And so let's talk about it. So this is what Scott Moe says. We also see the other thing that's really interesting about just Canada's market in general is that we got stuff like this coming out. Is this the easiest it's been to own a home in 3 years? Home ownership most affordable. Global's saying that this is, we're seeing the housing market shift to a buyer's market. If you Google it's going to a buyer's market, you can start to see that people are saying, hey, it's becoming a buyer's market. Saskatchewan, we're always a little bit behind. So what's going on the outside? Sometimes it trickles in, right? Like remember when everyone got smart boards? It was like, you got a smart board, and then like 10 years later it was like, we got smart boards, and then no one used them. They just like chucked them. So they don't chuck them, but you know what I mean? So anyways, the point is that we're seeing this kind of shuffle right now in Moose Jaw. We're still a strong seller's market. So if you're looking to sell, this might be the time, call me. And this might be a good time for you to sell and get top dollar for your place before things start to shift. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. We can predict, but it's looking like in Canada, we're seeing a shift in some markets to more of a buyer's market. So what does it look like? Like I said, it's still a seller's market here. So let's break down the numbers for Saskatchewan and let's talk about what's going on in Saskatchewan. Okay, so here we go. We got, let's start here. Just Saskatchewan in general, not a whole lot to note on. There's some numbers here for those of you that are interested just in Saskatchewan in general. You can see, our sales are here, right? We got 1,700 sales. We got 2,500 new listings. Our inventory's down. Surprise. Okay, months of supply down. Okay, 14% on the year. 52% on our 10-year average. There is no inventory. That's kind of the thing, which we know drives our prices up. You can see the correlation here, our new benchmark price. So for those of you that don't know, a benchmark price is the typical home that sells in Saskatchewan. We're not talking about the ones that are selling for very low ends, and we're not talking the ones that are selling very high end, like multi-million. We're talking what's the average home. If we grouped what the typical Saskatchewan home is, that's our benchmark home, and they actually have the attributes listed in here. If you want these articles, you want to have access to these, you want to see these numbers and take a look at them yourself, let me know and I can send them your way, and we can talk about these numbers together. But we're seeing the benchmark price 370, 700. We're up 8% in the year in Saskatchewan alone. There's a couple things here to highlight. We got a record break for provincial benchmark price in these cities. Moose Jaw is listed. Important to me. I'm a Moose Jaw real estate agent. And so and this is the second record benchmark price in 2 months. So we're consecutively, our benchmark price is increasing in Moose Jaw. Homes are selling for more. Okay. So if you're a buyer, you were waiting till mortgage rates went down, guess what's happening? You're paying more for your house now. So, you got a better rate, which is awesome. But now you are going to pay a little bit more. Okay. But we do see kind of here at the end, despite these challenges, we're encouraged by consecutive months of strong housing start figures and remain hopeful that the supply relief is on the way. So there is hope. And like I said, we're kind of seeing in the outer provinces and the coast and stuff that it's shifting to a buyer's market. So, are we going to see a little bit of a shift in Saskatchewan? And how far behind everyone else are we? Our biggest thing that makes this a seller's market is that we still don't have a ton of inventory. So let's talk about what this is looking like. We're up in Saskatchewan. So there's some stuff here. I'm not going to roll through this. Like, you can pause the video, you can look at it. there's just some numbers in here and different things like that. The one I'm going to stop on is here. You can see here our benchmark price for Saskatoon, 432,000. We're up 7.2% on the year. So since last year in July. Regina, 343,200, up 7.9 on the year. And the Moose Jaw, we're up 15.7%. Whoops, highlighting stuff. That's a lot. Okay, so we got a lot. We got a big price increase there. Let's see if I can draw. Oh yeah. Okay, so we got a big price increase there. So that's just one thing to note right there. So we're up at 282 now. 282,600 is what typical home sells for Moose Jaw on the year, 15.7%. That is way up. That's actually the highest except for Humboldt. Humboldt not far behind us. Okay, so that's really crazy for our city here, Moose Jaw. Something to be aware of. Moose Jaw led the way in year-over-year price growth with prices nearly 16%. Okay, so if you're a Moose Jaw buyer, you're paying 16% more on the typical home than in just June 2024. That's a lot. So that's something to definitely take a note of, whether you're buying or selling. If you're selling, hey, maybe you got some equity built up there. You could leverage that, get into your next house. We could talk about what that transition plan looks like. If you're buying, you know, get out the wallet, money. Anyways, so let's get into this. This is Moose Jaw. So we're looking at just Moose Jaw now. What do we got? We got 58 sales. So it is July. We're doing a July report. We look back at last month's data. We're looking at June's numbers. Okay. So we're looking at, we got 58 sales. We got 76 new listings. That's down. Our listings are down. Our sales are down. Okay. And then we got 133 just in inventory in total, houses that we could sell or you could buy, which is down 10 year. We're 52.8% down on inventory, what it should be 10 years ago. So we're just down year on year. We're down 14.2%. There's not a lot of stuff. And that's what we're running into right now. I got a lot of people I'm working with as buyer's agent. They want to buy houses, but it's just like they're just waiting for that house to come out. So if you're a seller, it's a really good time for you to get top dollar for your house, especially if you have the right house and you market it properly. Okay, one of the things we're seeing right now from sellers is that some of you guys are getting a little greedy, right? You've heard, oh, their Jim's house down the street sold for over list and this house sold for that. And some of you are telling your realtors what you want to list the house for. And we're seeing these agents list these houses super high and they're sitting, and then, you know, you get kicked in the shins and you drop your price down. If you market it right and you price it right, you'll get top dollar. So as a seller, this is a really strong time because there's buyers lined up, but the buyers know what's going on. They know if your house is overpriced. They're not going to come and just crack open their wallet and be like, take my money. Okay, like they know because they've been watching. Some of these buyers have been watching for years or a year, just waiting for that house to come out that fits their lifestyle. And so they know if your house is overpriced. But yeah, in Moose Jaw, this was a little lower the past couple of months we did this report. It's up now at 2.29, kind of back where I believe this is like April numbers. So this is pretty good. We're kind of seeing a little bit of our month supply come back up, but we're still down. We're still way down, 53.5%. Okay, if we come over here, you can see Moose Jaw in the dark blue is detached homes. Most of the homes that sell in Moose Jaw are detached homes. Okay, so if you're looking at buying a house in Moose Jaw, you're probably buying a detached home. We do see a little bit of apartments. So when you look over here, this is June 2025, lots of detached. Okay, we have a little bit of semi-detached, a little bit of townhouse, we have a little bit more apartment, and we have a little bit of mobile. Okay, but that's a small piece of the pie, so to speak. Really, most buyers and sellers looking at detached homes. Okay, we're up 282,600, 15% year on the year. That's what you're paying now if you're buying a house in Moose Jaw if you didn't buy last year. Okay, so hey, to all you guys that bought last year, good on ya. Right on. Anyways, some numbers in here. People want to know, okay, if I'm going to sell or I'm going to buy, what is the average days on market? Sellers, you want to know days on market. How quickly should my house be selling? Okay, if you're sitting on the market 90 days, guess what kind of offers you're probably going to attract? You're probably going to attract low balls, which no seller wants. Okay, sucks. Getting kicked in the shins. Average days on market. Okay, let's look at it. For detached, we'll just do all residential. Why don't I see it? Right here. Days on market. 32. So we're seeing 32 days on market. Look, I can circle that for you with my fancy pen. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Okay, 32 days on market is the average there. So that's good to know that, like, you know, if you're getting past that 32 days, there's probably something wrong. And guess what? In a seller's market like this, you're probably asking too much money, or there's something seriously wrong with the house. If the house isn't selling in regular market time, which according to this is 32 days on market, there's two reasons. And so I might help somebody out by saying this, but you're either overpriced or there's something seriously wrong with your house that no one wants to fix. Okay, and odds are, if I was a betting man, it's the first one. Okay, so 32 days is kind of typical. You know, we got 58 sales, we got 76 new listings. This is in June. We have 133 in inventory. Benchmark price 282. Okay, really close to our average. So average home, if we take every single home that's sold just in June, it's 281. So this is if we take just our typical home. Okay, some other stuff in here, 10-year averages, year to date, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to talk about these because this video would be an hour long. But you guys can stop and look, you know, some graphs, whatever. Take a look, pause the video if you're interested in more data. I'm not going to talk about these specifically, okay? The last thing we'll look at here, and I'll just leave this up for a second. This is the benchmark. This is what a benchmark home is in Moose Jaw. So we're looking at your typical home in Moose Jaw. It has 3 bedrooms above ground. It has 2 full baths. It has no half baths. It has 1 single attached garage, sometimes detached, I guess. And it's approximately 1,100 square feet. Okay, typically 1960s built. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at for your typical Moose Jaw home when we look at the data. Okay, so yeah, there's that whole bunch of numbers you can pause the video and look at, and then we're going to look at neighborhoods. Okay, so real quick, when we look at neighborhoods, if you like this video, if you're liking this market report and you're interested in what we're doing and talking about the Moose Jaw market and talking about how you can, you know, get the best bang for your buck, whether you're a buyer or a seller, and you want to keep seeing these, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a monthly video like this every month. And, you know, if you got some input, I would love to chat with you in the comments. Fire me a comment, tell me I'm an idiot, or tell me, you know, what you think, or what your house sold for, what the neighbor's house sold for. Like, I just love to hear what's going on. So leave me a comment down below and we can continue to chat about it. So anyways, first thing, and I'm going to do a video on this. I haven't done it yet. So that also, if you want to see more and learn more about Moose Jaw neighborhoods, subscribe so you can see this video when it comes out. We got a Moose Jaw neighborhoods guide here. So this is just a little map that I put together. You can see here, this is our Sunningdale VLA neighborhood. This is our very north neighborhood. Sunningdale, kind of built in the 80s. We got West Park, new construction. VLA, these are Veterans Land Act lots. They're big lots. And then we got Iron Bridge. This is a kind of our luxury estates, Iron Bridge Estates, some big pads out there. Okay. Talking about square footage. Okay, anyways, walkouts and stuff. So we got some big ones. So that's kind of all lumped into this Sunningdale VLA neighborhood. Then we have Palliser. Palliser's kind of that like neighborhood built in the 1960s. We got, you know, lots of nice homes in here. This is where like a lot of those benchmark homes might be. Central, we have some older construction here, but some really nice, there's some cool character homes, some nice like renovated stuff, different things like that. And then Hillcrest is kind of a blend. You know, we got some older stuff, we got some newer stuff. There's kind of a little bit of everything in there. For some people, this is a less desirable neighborhood. And then others love it. So that's just one thing to note as well. And then we got South Hill, the treacherous South Hill. No one knows how to feel about South Hill. You're like, it's polarizing. You love it or you hate it. You're either you're South Hill kid or you're not. Just the one thing we kind of see is there's a lot of questions right now about South Hill. Hey, what's going on? We got a new school. New school's opening up. All the other schools are shut down. Not all, but the South Hill schools are shut down. We're opening up a new school in South Hill. It's going to be kind of over here by this West Heath area. This is the newer construction site of South Hill. So they are separate neighborhoods, but I'm kind of talking about them in general because this is South Hill. Okay, so people don't know, like, what's the traffic going to be like? How's it going to look when the buses start rolling? Where are the kids going? How are they going to get there? There's a lot of stuff to figure out. There's a lot of unknowns. And so we got some people like, yeah, I'm moving. I want to get to South Hill. I want my kid to go to the new school. New school is going to be awesome. If you live in Moose Jaw and you've never seen a new school, it's going to blow your mind how awesome it is. If you see a new school, you'll be like, this is awesome. Yeah, they're so cool. But there's a lot of unknowns right now. People don't really know what's going on, and they're just really not sure what to think or what to feel about South Hill. So I guess we'll find out in September. Okay, I'll put in the report. You can see it. Subscribe. Anyway, so let's talk about these neighborhoods. So first one on our breakdown from SRA is going to be Central Neighborhood. So Central Neighborhood right here. We're looking at 14 sales. Okay, we have 15 new listings and we have 27 in inventory. Our month of supply is up, okay, which means that we're getting some more listings here. Okay, our benchmark price is up as well. Average home in Central selling for $214,500. One of the reasons we see these lower numbers is there's some homes that sell way over 400. There's one that I think just sold for like 700 or something like that. So there's some really nice, there's some infills, there's some new construction, there's some classic character homes. And then there's like also just a little bit of like, there's just some older stuff that's just like been built in the 1900s. It hasn't been touched and it's just no, I don't want to say rough condition. It's just old and it just maybe needs some work, needs some updates. And so there's actually a lot of those that sell, and that's why you see this price is lower here. Okay. Some numbers here. Central days on market. That's our big one from June. We're looking at 40 days on market. Okay. So a little bit down from last year, but we're looking at 40 days on market is the average time it takes to sell your house in Central Neighborhood. If you're looking over 40 days, you're in Central Neighborhood, I'd be looking at, hey, what's my price and what's wrong with my house? Why isn't it selling? 40 days, that's the average. Okay. Average price though is 246. Benchmark price 214. Here's the benchmark attributes. They are not in there. So I don't know how they come up with that number, but that is what SRA comes up with. We're 15.1% on the, and you will see as we go through this, there's going to be some that are in there. Okay. So 226, 200 on the benchmark price in Central. Let's look at Hillcrest. Okay, Hillcrest over here. Sorry, one sec. I just brewed a fresh coffee. I gotta have this. So Hillcrest over here on the East End, we're looking at, you know, they're pretty widespread, but primarily most of your housing is in here. Peacock Collegiate's like right here, Miller Stadium, all that kind of stuff. Okay. We got 10 sales, we got 17 new listings, 31 in inventory, and we got 3.1 months of supply. So this is more than our Moose Jaw market. So we're seeing, you know, homes here, maybe there's a little bit more supply in East End. You know, maybe, yeah, anyways. 175, 400. So you can see there's a lower price point, and you know, if you're on a tight budget, you want to get a nice house, you might be able to get a little bit more for your money over in the East End, or the East End as we call it in Moose Jaw, but which is called Hillcrest neighborhood. Still though, similar numbers here. Houses are up 11.6%. Hey, if you bought your house last year, congratulations. 11.6% on your investment. What a way to go. Days on market in, oh, let me get my drawing. Okay, let's see how I do this better. Days on market, 23 days on market in Hillcrest neighborhood. That's what we're looking at. So they're not lasting very long compared to other markets. Here's the benchmark attributes. They're not existed again. So again, I don't know how they're saying this number, but they have some way to calculate the benchmark. They're just, I guess, not showing us what the benchmark is. I'm pretty sure Palliser and Sunnydale, they put them in there. So that's Hillcrest. Okay. So on our detached benchmark, we're up 19% year on the year. That is great if you bought a house in East End last year. What a return on investment. We're up. Okay, let's talk about Palliser. Palliser is a fan favorite neighborhood. People love Palliser Heights. I love Palliser Heights. It's a lovely neighborhood. And so we only got 9 sales. We only have 12 new listings. So you can see less sales, less new listings, inventory is down. Okay, prices are up 16.2%. Okay, that's getting pricey. If you bought a house in Palliser last year, nice. Okay, average home sells in Palliser for $316, $100. Okay, or not average, benchmark home. Okay, my words are all mixed up. Benchmark home Palliser. We got months of supply. Oh, look at this arrow. Okay, 1.78 months. We are down 68.4% on the 10-year. That is crazy. Our months of supply is actually up 42% year on year. Okay, anyways, yeah. So something to think about. Palliser Heights, hot neighborhood. If you're looking to buy in Palliser, I would expect some competition. There's a lot of buyers that want to, you know, a lot of buyers that want to move to Palliser. I hear that a lot. I want to live in Palliser. I want to live in Northwest, right? And what happens is that Sunningdale, and you can just briefly see this here, Sunningdale is a really nice neighborhood. VLA is a really nice neighborhood, but you can see the price point just gets so much higher, right? So if you're looking to get to Sunningdale, this is a lot tougher for people to get into, okay? Because it's a lot of money. And so what happens is they're like, hey, like I would love Sunningdale. I grew up in Sunningdale, or my parents living Sunningdale, but I don't got this, you know, I'm a baller, but I'm a baller on a budget. Like I don't got this cash flow right now. I don't got this cash flow yet. So I'll get there. But they want to go to Palliser, really close neighborhood, you know, for $100,000 less on the average home. That really helps the mortgage payment. They're getting in here at $316,600. Here's what the typical or the benchmark home looks like in Palliser. 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, no halves, single detached. We got about 1,100 square feet, lot size, okay, whatever, built in 1964, and that's your average home, okay? Compared to Sunningdale VLA, and since we're talking about this, I'll show you, benchmark, this is crazy, cracking $500,000, okay? Detached benchmark price in Sunningdale, $516,000, okay? Up 8.3% on the year. If you're from Regina and Saskatoon, you're like, oh, that's awesome, right? But in Moose Jaw, there's a lot of money, $500,000 to get into this neighborhood. And you can just see here, we got similar bid, bath situation, but you're getting a double car garage now. You're getting 1,400 square feet, you're getting a bigger lot, and you're getting newer construction. Okay, let me get my circular. Newer construction. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so that's just one thing to think about. So we'll go back up here because we haven't talked about Sunningdale. But when you look, Palliser compared to Sunningdale, these are 2 neighborhoods that buyers often want to get into. And lots of times, you know, the truth is you just can't afford to get into Sunningdale at this point in your life. So you're like, hey, I'm gonna go into Palliser, and then maybe I can, you know, leverage some equity, right? Like you can see these homes are going up. You own your house 5-8 years, you leverage that equity, you take that big fat down payment, you go to Sunningdale, you live your life. Whatever you want to do. Anyway, so let's look at Sunningdale. Okay, we got 10 sales, we got 13 new listings, inventory down 21. Months of supply, 2.1, sorry, 2.1. Okay, we're down year on the year. We're down 10 years on average. Okay, prices are up. It's like, you see the numbers, makes sense. You know, like, what? No inventory and prices are up? How crazy? Like, it's obvious, but it's like, it's important for you guys to see this data, because when you go and you're going to make potentially one of the biggest purchases of your life, if you don't have this data, or your realtor's not talking to you about this data, I don't know what we're doing. We use this all the time. I use it all the time with clients when we look at, hey, what's a fair offer? What's a fair price? How do we know if this house is overpriced? How do we know if we're making a good offer? And then if they question our offer, we can say, hey, have you looked at the data? Have you looked at the comparables? We think this is a good, strong offer. And we're not working off our feelings, not like, you know, just because I love my house. Every seller loves their house. Every seller thinks their house is worth more than it is. I personally think my house is worth more than it is. Get all these agents over here, tell me what my house is actually worth. We love our own houses. We have, you know, we're connected to them and we love them. And we think they're worth more than that. So anyways, we want to make a fair offer based on the numbers, not based on our feelings, because we're humans. We get emotionally attached to stuff so quickly. Okay. Average days on market in Sunnydale, 50 days. Okay. Primarily, I don't know. Why do you think? Because it's just higher budget. We just have less buyers in this buyer pool. These houses sit on the market longer. You can see here in June, 72 days. But hey, if you're looking to make a move, you're in Sunnydale, call me. But also, you might not sell it for a couple months. So don't set up your new arrangements or your new house in, you know, don't plan to move in 30 days, because it might take 50. It might take longer. So plan, if you're making transition, plan for that. Average days on market Sunnydale, 50 days. Of course, there's houses that sit on there longer. Okay. But on average in June 2025, 50 days is the spot. Okay. Actually, this is detached. This was all detached. We're looking at 59 days, even a little longer. Okay. We already talked about this. Let's look at Westmount. Westmount, South Hill, for my South Hill kids, or people, adults. You're adults buying houses. You were a kid once. Anyways, sales, 13 sales, 19 new listings. We got inventory 37, 2.85 months of supply. Here's what I want to point out. When you look at, actually, look at this. Okay. I'm going too fast. Okay. I'm going to come back to that because that's actually a thing. Okay. We looked at that. Lots of detached, all that stuff. Average home going for $250,400. You're up. Oh my gosh. 18.2% stonks. Okay. Like, this is awesome. Okay. I mean, not if you're a buyer. Awesome if you're a seller. Okay. You're up on the year. These prices have gone up. They've increased. Your property values increased. On average, buyers are going to be paying 18.2% more to live in South Hill. $250,000 is the average price of South Hill home. Days on market, 17. These homes are selling quick. They're not sitting very long. They're moving off the shelves quick. If you're listing in South Hill, price your house right, odds are you can sell the thing like a hotcake. Okay, so that's awesome for you. The one thing I'll point out though is, check this out. You look at your detached benchmark stuff here. It's pretty close to Palliser. Okay, it's built in a similar year, similar lot sizes. Okay, we have one less bedroom, but the same amount of bathrooms and the same style garage and the same age of construction, but we're coming in about 66,000. Is that the right math? That was in my head. Yeah, coming in $66,000 less. So if you don't really care about the neighbor, like some of you won't live in South Hill. I know you. Okay. But for some of you, you're like, I don't really care. I'll live in South Hill. And if you want a nice house, your money, according to this, not according to me, your money's going to go a little farther over here. You're going to get a really comparable house for less money in South Hill. And the thing we don't know, like we said, is what's the school going to do? How is the new school going to affect South Hill? Do people want to get over there? Is that going to cause your property value to go up? Or is it going to cause your property value to go down if the traffic's bad and there's no access and all these things that people are worried about? I think, it's just my opinion, I think people are going to like the new school and people are going to want to get to the new school. That's my guess. But what do I know? Just a realtor. Okay. Not a traffic guy. So that's my thoughts. I think it's going to be cool. I like new schools. I like new construction. I think it's going to be really awesome. I think it's going to be awesome for our city. Like 2 gyms in the same building. We're doing basketball tournaments. Like, it's going to, like, you're in grade 7. You're like having taco in a bag. You got double gyms. You're shooting threes, airballing every single one. Like, life does not get better than that. And you're in a new gym. I don't know. It just sounds good to me. So anyways, that's our South Hill data. Selling quick. Your money goes a little farther in South Hill compared to Palliser. And that kind of breaks down. So sorry, I kind of skipped over this, but here's Palliser, here's Sunnydale, here's South Hill. So, comparable homes, 50,000 cheaper. Sounds pretty good to me. Anyways, That's all I got. So thank you so much for watching. If you're interested, like I said, in more market reports like this, please, I mean, yeah, this video is 20 minutes long. Like, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here to the end. Please subscribe if you stayed here to the end, because obviously you liked it and you want more of this. So subscribe, shoot me a DM, give me a text, give me a call. I'd love to just chat with you in person, even if you're thinking of moving in the next little bit. Down the road, whatever, let's just chat about real estate. I'm always open to chat about real estate. So let me know what your questions are. If you're curious what your home value is worth or anything like that, let's have a conversation about that. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Boom.